and lost in overtime to a Chiefs team that somehow keeps winning, but they will not win in the playoffs like this.
Talk about C Squad. No receivers. Hollywood Brown was supposed to be out there. He's gone. Rice, gone. Yeah, they had to put Hopkins in. He's only been there for like 2 weeks. He just learned to play.
And Hopkins had the game of his fucking season.
Let me talk about running backs. Pacheco's gone, and then we've had to put Kareem Hunt.
Hold on. Time out. Did you just reference the Chiefs?
You took all your timeouts. You're done. You're done.
Three timeouts, bro. What's that reference of we, Mr. Steelers up there about we have Kareem Hunt and we? You better take that we Mosheri French shit out your mouth right now.
Yeah, buddy. Cinco Squad is back for episode 136. My name is Jonathan Sawyer. With me are my brothers, TreyDay, Grandpa J, and Mike A. Fellas, Patrick Mahomes is king. That's all I gotta say. This is the entire show. He is playing okay football and winning at a very high rate. Mm-hmm. Grandpa J, how you feeling down there after you to your Buccaneers?
Way to beat a C squad in overtime at home. Of course, they were going to fucking win the toss.
You were talking about your Buccaneers making the playoffs, making a deep run about 2 weeks ago. So don't say that bullshit about the C squad.
That ain't Patrick Mahomes, A squad.
Hold on. Time out. When you lose your entire receiving corps, you lose starting linebacker, you're down to 2 rookies playing on the edge for you defensively. Sorry, outside. So your cornerbacks are now, you're relying on a rookie to defend against the best quarterback in the league. I had no expectations of this game, but for us to take it into overtime, I gotta be talking about Patrick Mahomes spot. Bro, they needed to win the toss to win the game. Everybody knew once they won the toss, they're going to get, look, no disrespect. He's still Patrick Michael Jeffrey Jordan Mahomes. All right. I still have all the utmost respect for him, but ain't nobody smack up on the Bucs. All right. The Bucs went in there and lost in overtime to a Chiefs team that somehow keeps winning, but they will not win in the playoffs like this.
Wait, because see this thing. No, when you talk about C squad, no receivers. Hollywood Brown was supposed to be out there. He's gone. Rice, gone. We talk about their receivers are gone. Yeah, they had to put Hopkins in. He's only been there for like 2 weeks. He just learned to play.
And Hopkins had the game of his fucking season so far, bro.
Okay. Yeah, because he just got there, so he just learning. And then let me talk about running backs. Pacheco's gone, and then we've had to put Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt was eating donuts with me 3 weeks ago.
Guys,
we were literally right here in Cleveland eating donuts 3 weeks ago. I'm serious. Me and Kareem were actually
Hold on. Time out. Did you just reference the Chiefs?
You took all your timeouts. You're done. You're done.
Three timeouts, bro. What's that reference of we, Mr. Steelers up there about we have Kareem Hunt and we? You better take that we Mosheri French shit out your mouth right now, bro.
Kareem Hunt represents Cleveland. Kareem Hunt was a Cleveland shot because me and Kareem Hunt were sitting here in Cleveland eating donuts together 3 weeks ago. And then me and Kareem, we called Travis, and Travis said, you know what? I need you to leave Cleveland. Come out there. You know, at the pace the Chiefs keep getting injuries, I might be playing for the Chiefs next week, playing receiver, because everybody keeps getting hurt. And you know what's going to happen? I may go for 1,000 yards because it's Patrick Michael Jordan Mahomes throwing me the ball.
Who's not hurt? Travis Kelce.
Can we still record on Wednesdays? If you do.
Yeah, I'll bring Jason Kelce on, and we'll record with that fucking dumbass kid's iPhone.
Oh man,
shout out to Penn State.
I had to fire you up, Grandpa J. Yes. Your Buccaneers. I got to give them credit. They did play the Chiefs pretty tough, and they did go down in the last minute. But I thought you gave the greatest quarterback in the league too much time. I think
always
3 timeouts, 35 seconds left. That's way too much time for him. But I got one question for you. Would you have gone for 2?
100%. I'm shocked. You know why I'm shocked they didn't? Because Todd Bowles has no freaking balls, bro. He never, ever decides to take a moment by the horns and be like, fuck it, let's go for it. It's always conservative. It's like, you know what? Tony Dungy is my mentor. I'm going to just rewind this team 25 years. Well, they're not the same defense, so you can't do that. You have to take chances in this freaking league. And if you're on the road, you do not ever, not for 1 second, do you listen. I knew that they were going to win the toss, bro. It's scripted, all right? There's no way the Bucs win that. Everybody wants to see the freaking Chiefs win and get out and go home. They're 8-0, okay? You go for 2 and you go home if you don't win. Done. Finish.
No, That was an entertaining Monday night game. We have an entertaining game coming up tonight where we have the Ravens and Bengals. But before we get to that, we have to get to before the season we did our MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, and I think we did Coach of the Year as well. We did Conference Champions, Super Bowl champions, and then we'll go off of second half of the season bowl predictions. So we'll kind of go through it. Each of us will say our list of. We'll just go right down the line, and we'll start with TreyDay and work our way around from Mike, Jamie, and myself. Kind of give our predictions, then we'll kind of recap what our thoughts on that, or we'll just interrupt each other like we normally do. So go ahead, TreyDay.
Okay, MVP. I told y'all the other week, it's TJ fucking Watt. As simple as that. I know people don't want to get the defense, but it's TJ Watt. As I will say, I'm going to quickly go through this. The Steelers are 1-10 since 2017 without that guy. They give up 6 more points per game without that guy. He is literally the difference of what a quarterback equals for most teams. That's one of the best defenses in the league is TJ fucking Watt. Defensive Player of the Year? It's TJ fucking Watt. Give him all the fucking awards. Give him the fucking presidency. Shit, I think he might win the Electoral College the other night. Pretty sure I saw him out there. Offensive Player of the Year. Derrick Henry. I guess we're going to keep this in AFC North. Yeah, Lamar's balling out, but Derrick Henry's made a special amount of difference because every time they get down to that goal line, it's not what it used to be where you had to say, okay, well, let's get Lamar credit. It's like, no, let's just turn around, hand this ball off, and let this big man just plow right forward and end this. Like, you know what's coming. He's coming. There's nothing you can do about it. And for Coach of the Year right now, I'm going to give it to my guy, Kevin O'Connell. We never talk about him here. We don't really talk about the Minnesota Vikings too much, so we'll shout you Vikings fans out. You know why? Because when I look at this, and I look at Kyrie Jackson, unfortunately, RIP, he passed for 40 years. So that's a rough way to start the year. You look at, what's the guy? What's the Michigan guy? I don't remember his name. You know, I don't do these Michigan guys that good. What's the quarterback? The guy from Michigan. Yeah, that guy. You know, he's played with the khaki man in Michigan. Okay, but no, in all seriousness. So you lose McCarthy, and that was supposed to be your future, and you had to put Sam Darnold out here. And a lot of us that gave up on Sam Darnold, and they've managed to go out here, start the year 6-2, have one of the most competitive defenses in the league. And Kevin O'Connell's just been creative. He's been able to, you know, make lemonade with like a half a lemon. So to me, he's Coach of the Year right now.
It makes it a little easier when you have the best receiver in the game too.
And yeah, but the thing is, a lot of people said coming into the year, people said Tyreek Hill was the best receiver in the league. They lose their quarterback. It looks like a different thing. The Vikings lose their quarterback, and maybe that's something to Justin Jefferson, but they lose their quarterback, and Justin Jefferson does what he does every week.
It's a thing of, too, and not to hold up Mike, but it's a thing, too, that we keep saying is it's never a bad thing to have a good backup, right? They went and grabbed Sam Darnold and said, hey, at least he can get the job done for a few weeks in case JJ did. Mike McDaniel said Tua or the guy in row B in section 117, pretty much. So, yeah. So that's how it went. So, all right, Mike, who you got?
Okay, so MVP. Let's give it to him for a third time. He is balling out. It's Lamar Jackson. He's just having a phenomenal season. Let's see. Defensive Player of the Year. Sorry, I'd love to give it to TJ Watt, but we're going to give it to his fellow AFC North player, the only man that currently sits with double-digit sacks, and that's Trey Hendrickson of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Absolutely not. I'm sorry, I have to touch you. That is a good
I thought he was going Myles Garrett at first.
You got at least have, I thought you were going to say Myles Garrett. I couldn't even live with that. But the defense isn't even good. I can't give Trey Hendrickson that. No, their defense isn't good.
All right, who's your offensive player?
Offensive player is Derrick Henry. No, fuck no. It is Derrick Henry. I mean, that dude, I knew. I said as soon as they got him, I was like, that is the worst thing you could possibly give this Ravens team is another guy that can run. So it's 100% Derrick Henry. And Coach of the Year, I do like the Kevin O'Connell pick. However, we are going to go with Dan Quinn of the Washington Commanders. Given the precedent that Washington has set over the course of their franchise history, the fact that they jumped from the number 2 overall pick to now potentially winning the division, I think is super impressive. And I think Dan Quinn has brought a new energy to the organization.
Grandpa Jay.
All right. So I love the fact that we're all choosing different people. Maybe John might agree with me here, but MVP, we know it's going to go to a quarterback. I love Trey's argument. So I can't be mad at that. But it's Josh Allen, and here's why. Josh Allen is doing the most with the least right now. And funny enough, it almost took him to lose the most prima donna receiver. Well, I would say he's the most in the league. He's one of the biggest prima donna receivers. And all of a sudden, the team looks like a team. Okay, they're running the ball great. We knew that wasn't happening. We know they try and build them on defense, but Josh Allen is playing at an MVP level, and he deserves that MVP at the moment. Offensive player of the year. All hail King Henry, who looks like a 22-year-old freaking second-year player ready to just bow his way through any defender and find the end zone. Someone made a prediction today and told me, you think he's going to score in every game for the rest of the year? I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he did that. So give me Derrick Henry for offensive player. Defensive player of the year. As much credit as my guy on top there, John, wants to give King Patrick Mahomes, we all know that the Chiefs' identity now lies in their defense. So Chris Jones, you are the man. People don't realize how much of a glue this guy is for that defense because he doesn't make all these big splash plays. The guy is always involved in key plays. Give me Chris Jones as my defensive player of the year. And coach of the year. It's hard to live up to the hype. It's hard to live up to the potential, especially after you kind of give up your opportunity to play in the Super Bowl, which is what the Detroit Lions did. My coach of the year right now is Mr. Man Campbell.
Well, I mean, it's hard to kind of go against him, but my MVP is the king of the NFL, the number one player in the NFL right now, and that is King Henry. King Henry is the MVP of this league, and defensive player of the year, it goes to TJ Watt. 100%. Without TJ Watt, I think of player of the year, MVP. If you take that guy off that team, what does that look like? TJ Watt off of Pittsburgh looks, the defense is in shambles. You take Trey Hendrickson off of the Bengals, which he was last year at one point, the Bengals defense did perfectly fine, or did what you expected, right? You take TJ Watt off that team, and it's expected that the team is going to be like a lost puppy. So TJ Watt is a defensive player of the year 100% at this point. And then offensive player of the year is Jaden Daniels. That dude is absolutely taking over and taking it by storm. He started off rough, but then the last 5 games have been just absolutely incredible. He showed that he is winning the Rookie of the Year against Caleb Williams, your head-to-head matchup, and it's not even close. I think Caleb Williams had like 85 yards. He had over 300. He's consistently getting better every single year, every single game. And you take him off that team, you see a Commanders team. I think the same thing goes to Lamar. Lamar, you take him off that team. But we've seen the Ravens. You take Lamar out of there, they can still move with Derek, right? You can still hand him off to Derek. You can still kind of move things. I think Jaden Daniels is Offensive Player of the Year. And it's hard not to give it to his coach as Coach of the Year, is Dan Quinn, because the Commanders, like Mike said, have had the notion of a shit organization. I mean, unfortunately, Mike's Giants has taken that reign at this point in the NFC East, where they are now the shit organization for the next 15 years. So congratulations. And now the Dans are taking over the NFL. Dan Campbell and Dan Quinn. So Dan Quinn's just got that little swagger. He's got that team rolling. And they may win the NFC East, but not so fast, because
just to make sure that we're not crapping on Caleb Williams too much. Fingernail paint wearing Caleb Williams. He actually had 131 yards in that game. And yes, you're right. Fact check. Daniels had 326. So he almost tripled it.
Yeah. I mean, and if it wasn't for that 56-yard Hail Mary, they would have won that game.
Lost the game.
Well, he would have won the game. Caleb Williams would have won the game.
No, I'm saying, yeah, if Dan's had done that, he actually would have lost the game
Caleb
after
Williams proved
outdoing
a lot on that drive, though. He proved a lot that he can run a 2-minute offense and run it effectively, right? So when you look at Caleb Williams, he looks great. If he continues to progress the way he's supposed to, he's gonna hit for the Bears. But yeah, those.
So it's not that Caleb has been bad. It's what he suffered from, unfortunately, is the other guy has been so good that everybody's looking at Caleb bad. If you took him in a lot of other rookie years and plug him in, and you say, okay, well, this team's playing at 500 level, and they were just one of the worst teams in the league 3 years, you're like, okay, well, he's having a good rookie year. But the other guys just having an all-time rookie year in Jaden Daniels. So that's what is kind of hurting Caleb Williams' season right now.
Right.
Yeah, and Caleb Williams is going to be a really great quarterback if he keeps hitting the progressions that he's doing. Jaden Daniels also has a 7-2 record, right? So it's hard to kind of not give it to him at this point. But we're not talking about rookie of the year. We're talking about the 4 main ones: MVP, DPOY, and OPOYs, and Coach of the Year. So with all that being said, we're going to go around the horn and see if our matchups have changed from the last time we said. So, what are your Super Bowl matchups and conference championship matchups? I'll start, go to TreyDay, then Mike, and then Grandpa Jay on the fly. So my NFC conference championship game will be the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Washington Commanders. Yes, that's right. Jalen Hurts versus Jaden Daniels. Saquon versus Austin Eckler. You know who's going to win that matchup. He's just going to jump backwards over everybody. So, on the AFC side, it'll be the Ravens and Chiefs repeat. And the Ravens will get the best of the Chiefs this time because they have King Henry. And the Eagles will move on to the Super Bowl, where Saquon will jump his way into the Super Bowl. So, it'll be the Eagles versus the Ravens. And I don't think you guys have to ask me who the Super Bowl champion is going to be.
Yeah, you picked the Ravens, obviously.
Blackbird.
It's going to be the Bird.
We get it.
No, go Birds, right? It's Ravens.
Go
I know,
Birds.
That's usually what you're talking about when you say go Birds.
Yeah, go Birds.
Birds, Ravens.
All right, TreyDay. Who you got?
Okay, so in the AFC, I have the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to play the Ravens. That was the matchup everybody looked forward to last year. So, yeah, let's run this back. Things have changed a little bit. We'll get another rematch of Chiefs-Ravens in the playoffs because that seems to be a theme here. In the NFC, may not be a popular decision. Now, the Lions, I'm going to have them there. That's, of course, still popular. But people have wavered. I'm putting the San Francisco 49ers still there versus the Lions. See, what the dirty, dark secret is the NFC West is still tight. Nothing's really moved. Everybody's sitting there at 500. Christian McCaffrey's now back practicing. Fred Warner's still one of the top 5 defensive players of the year. And you're still about to get Dre Greenlaw coming back in a couple weeks to one of the better defenses. So now, also, on top of that, I love the way Ricky Pearsall came out. Yeah, you lost Ayuk, but now you replaced him with Pearsall, who might actually fit better in that system than Ayuk did as far as being a consistent player. So I'm putting that as our NFC matchup. In our Super Bowl, I'm going to expect, as I told y'all before, we would never bet against Patrick Michael Jordan Mahomes. The Chiefs will be in the Super Bowl. And what almost ended up being the Super Bowl last year is Chiefs versus Lions. Last year, Chiefs 49ers. This year, I think Dan Campbell decides, I'm going to take some damn points. And he's going to put the Chiefs versus the Lions in the Super Bowl. So that's going to be our Super Bowl matchup this year.
Mike?
All right, let's go. Let's get it out of the way. Third verse, same as the first and the second. Chiefs-Ravens, I feel like that's the AFC Championship game we're kind of destined for at this point, once again. NFC Championship game, the Detroit Lions will be there. They appear to be the best team in football, but the Washington Commanders will be in that NFC Championship game. I think they've got the buzz behind them, and I think Jaden can get them there. NFC, it's the Detroit Lions. Like I said, they are seemingly the best team in football right now, at least the best team in the NFC. But the real best team in football right now, I always say it, until they give me a reason not to, I will never go against Patrick, Michael, Jeffrey, Jordan, Mahomes, and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Trey, you ready for a little? All right, guys. So here we go.
The Bucs are not going to the Super Bowl, James.
I had so much love and admiration for the Kansas City Chiefs and Michael, Jeffrey, Jordan, Mahomes, which I said I haven't lost any, but I'm a believer in a new team here. So in my AFC matchup, I have the Buffalo Bills playing the Baltimore Ravens because the Chiefs fall short to the Ravens because your Steelers bumped them down in the rankings and they have to play the Chiefs sooner than they thought in the playoffs. Okay. I got the Bills and Ravens in the AFC Championship game. On the NFC side, I love what you're saying about San Fran. I just don't see it right now. I see them sputtering and finding a way and ending up having to go on the East Coast for a road game they don't have to play or shouldn't have to have played. I think that's going to knock them out earlier than expected. So give me the Detroit Lions going up against your Philadelphia Eagles, John, because I do think they're getting hot and they can match any team in the NFC with all the weapons they have on both sides of the ball. And I got the Lions playing the Bills in the Super Bowl because one of these teams have to win a freaking Super Bowl. And I'm here for it to at least see one city celebrate. And I don't care which one it is. Good for either one because they'll end up obviously embracing that team forever because it might be the first and last for another 50 years. Who knows?
That would be the most annoying fucking Super Bowl. I would just not watch, to be honest with
you. Really?
I watch on mute. I watch on
really?
Mute.
Why?
Well, I would totally I'd delete Instagram, Twitter, all those apps because the Buffalo Bills Mafia and the Detroit fan base would just be so annoying. And it would just don't let them beat the Chiefs to get there, please. Just don't. I just don't want.
Oh, that would be the worst.
Josh Allen is better than Patrick Mahomes. Shut up.
Lay off me.
Lay off, man. I'm starving.
Just give credit where credit's due. You guys choke when it comes down to it. That's what your organization's about. It's like Jerry Jones.
Not so fast in 2025.
All right, so we'll keep it rolling here. We have biggest surprise or biggest disappointment up until this point, and then we have second half bowl predictions. So here is my biggest surprise. It is the Arizona Cardinals leading right now the NFC West. Who would have thought, right? I mean, the defense was top 5 last year. They're top 5 this year. They are still. It's no surprise. Jonathan Gannon, the one credit I got it, his on-camera stuff is kind of weird, but he knows how to run a defense. There's a reason why the Eagles' defense was the top of the league when they went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. They are rolling right now. Kyler still is question mark to me. I mean, I think that'll be their downfall for the rest of the year is him, but he's actually looking a lot better. He's making some good progression throws. He's starting to read a defense better. But I still think he's going to be the downfall. They're not getting Marvin Harrison the ball enough, in my opinion. Missing him wide open against the Steelers, I think it was, or some team, I forget. No, it was the Bills. He was wide open. He's just sitting there making a ham sandwich. But I think the Arizona Cardinals are the biggest surprise. I mean, they're, I think, 4-4 now. They're playing pretty good football. They have a pretty 5-4. They're leading the West, and they're playing good football. So they're the biggest surprise. TreyDay?
For me, I'm going to take the disappointment route. My biggest disappointment this year is not 100% on him, but I'm still disappointed. Has been Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, coming into the year, was voted the number 1 player in NFL. I'm pretty sure we're going to drop him probably out of the top 10 after this. Now, I know a lot of people will look and they'll say, well, he didn't have his quarterback. He didn't have Tua. That's fine. I get that. But when you look at your all-time greats, a lot of them can still play when their quarterback's not there. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to shit on Tyreek when I say this, but I look at like all those years with D-Hop was out there in Texas, and he didn't have shit. And then I look at him in Tennessee, he still didn't have shit. I look at Andre Johnson when he was out there with the Texans, and he didn't have squat. I look at currently Justin Jefferson. It doesn't matter who the hell plugs in. It can be Josh Dobbs. It might be Kirk Cousins. It might be Sam Darnold. He figures it out. And with Tyreek, it seems to be, okay, yeah, you have Patrick Mahomes, you bought out, and that's great. Yeah, you had Tua, y'all give Tua everything you want to, but he still was a top 10 pick. We take him out of the equation, and I'm talking about my fantasy team. Tyreek Hill over here putting up 2 points per game in certain games without that. 1 catch, 8 yards. A couple screen passes, yeah, that's a disappointment, especially for a guy that the NFL ranked as the number 1 player, according to NFL.com, coming to the year. We got to, sorry, Tyreek, we got to call you out on that.
Grandpa J.
My biggest surprise this year is the comeback of Alvin Kamara on a really shitty team. I mean, imagine if this guy played for a team with a half decent line, what his numbers would look like right now. We'd probably be talking about him possibly in the argument for offensive player of the year. The guy looked as if he was becoming pedestrian. We know what happens with running backs as they get a little bit older. We also know his work ethic is unmatched off the field. He does some crazy stuff to work on his balance and body and how he can, kind of absorb hits. But Alvin Kamara is a real pleasant surprise. I've always loved the way he plays the game, even though I hate when we play against him. I just love seeing running backs who don't fade into the sunset when I know they have more in them. And I'm really happy that it looks like he's going to revive his career. And hopefully for his sake, it's going to end somewhere else after this season.
The crazy part is he was almost a Kansas City Chief.
Mm-hmm.
They were close to making a deal at the deadline for him, and that would have been. I was
Yeah, that was.
I'm like, all right. And they almost got Max Crosby.
Yeah, and I ain't putting the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no. I mean,
Just hand him the trophy.
we're just talking about
hand him
who's second place at this point.
Right. Who's going to lose to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl?
Who's going to lose to the Chiefs? I got money on that. All right, Mike, who you got? Who's the biggest disappointment?
So I actually went with my biggest surprise, and they're not the biggest disappointment because they were going to be disappointing no matter what. No, my biggest surprise, and we touched on a little bit earlier, and you know what? Good for them, the Minnesota Vikings, where they seem to be they know they're letting Kirk Cousins walk. They draft JJ. They seem to be kind of not necessarily in a rebuild, but kind of resetting themselves a little bit and expecting that. I think they'd seemingly resigned themselves to the fact of, okay, we're probably finishing third or fourth in our division this year, but we'll build back up to quickly get back to the top. And when McCarthy went down, okay, a lot of people, including I think me, for the most part, was like, all right, well, there goes now. You're finishing last no matter what. But Sam Darnold has stepped up. I mean, obviously they have Justin Jefferson, best receiver in the league. The defense has stepped up. You've got old man Harrison Smith out of the University of Notre Dame, still at 35, still being one of the all-around better safeties in the league this year. I think they've kind of all, behind Kevin O'Connell, banded together and really are just all working hard as a team and showing their potential as a team. So I'm very impressed by what they've done so far.
All right, so now we'll take it to bold predictions. So what are your bold predictions, Mike? We'll keep on that train with you. What do you got?
Okay. I'm doubling down. The Dallas Cowboys will finish last in the NFC East. I believe in my team just enough.
2, 3.
Fuck
the
Cowboys. And now I have even more reason. I know it looked crazy at the beginning of the year, but now I have even more reason to believe that believe in the Giants just enough that they can win one more game than Dallas.
Well,
so, the Dallas Cowboys.
To your point, and I'm going to go the opposite. The Dallas Cowboys will make the playoffs with Cooper Rush, and they'll bench Dak.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
I need to estimate.
They looked better with Cooper Rush in the game the other day. They actually made a comeback against the Falcons.
I need an actual explanation for this, like an actual with film. Because the thing is, people, and a lot of times this happens when the backup comes in, and the team they prep for them and they look good for a couple minutes, and then people are like, this is great. And then the next week they prep for them, and they're like, oh shit, this guy actually is a backup for a fucking reason.
Yeah, I mean, I that's not actually my big bold prediction. I just kind of wanted to say it.
But okay.
I think it's more of a hope at this point because I'm tired of hearing how good Dak Prescott is and how he's got regular season numbers and they throw all the time. Everyone throws, right? Like Baker Mayfield.
You're gonna retire regardless. It's the Cowboys.
4,600 yards. Like I think 15 quarterbacks had 4,000 yards last year. Give it up. Like everyone has 4,000 yards. It's what you're doing when the time is crunching. So my biggest bold prediction is that the entire NFC West will make the playoffs.
What?
You mean the NFC North?
NFC North?
You mean the West.
What?
No, you mean the North. I need an explanation of how all of them are going to hop to NFC North and everybody up there is like 3 games over 500.
Like Grandpa Jay said, the NFC North is going to play each other and knock themselves out of contention. So the NFC West.
The NFC West does the same thing, and all of them have 4 losses already.
They all have 4 losses. They all have to play each other, so everybody's still going to get the 6.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can tell John no longer. Hey, John stopped doing math after grade 6. It's okay, guys.
He stopped doing math and stopped doing directionals. He meant NFC West, folks. We just want to give you that heads up. He thought Green Bay, Minnesota was in the West.
I didn't mean that.
He thought Chicago was in California. That's why.
Yeah,
NFC West will make the playoffs. The entire NFC West. We'll see Kyler playoff Kyler. See what he does. Run around.
He's the duck. He's the duck from the.
Trey, you up next?
Okay, so I guess we're all speaking of doubling down. I'm going to double down on something I told y'all last year. I told you this year. I'm going to continue to do this. The Jets are going to fucking finish last in the AFC East. I keep saying this. The Aaron Rodgers experiment was going to fail. I told you that before we started, and here we are. Everybody wants to say, oh, they're going to trade for Devontae Adams. That wasn't the issue. The issue has been many of other things. Aaron Rodgers is washed. I know we had a guy on this show the other week tell y'all he was a top 5 player. He didn't mean that shit. He did not mean that. Aaron Rodgers is washed. Salah got fired, and the defense looks even worse. They weren't great before. Mike Williams became somewhat of a scapegoat to an extent. They go out here, they trade for Devontae. They still don't look good. I mean, okay, so they win a game here and there. At the end of the day, Tua is coming back and starting to make them at least look more competitive. The Bills clearly are the class of the AFC East, and I would say at minimum, Drake May at least seems to have the Patriots playing with some fire and looking competitive. So like I said, the Jets are going to finish last in that division. And unfortunately for them, this might be a trend. You sold your soul to Aaron Rodgers? Hey, here you are.
Yeah, and the schedule doesn't look fitting for the Jets moving forward. I think they have to
that either.
The Steelers. No, they don't play the Steelers.
They
play the Chargers this week, and then they play. I forget who right before the bye week, but they play one other team, and it's like after that, it's still a gauntlet of teams.
If you want to see a gauntlet, look at the Steelers' remaining schedule. That shit's
Our
ridiculous.
schedule is the Steelers' schedule.
It's ridiculous.
They still have 2 ranked games.
The
Steelers haven't played anybody in the division yet. They still got a Chiefs game. They got the Commanders this week.
They got the Bills too, I think, right? So there's a lot of teams on.
It might be. Yeah, it's just a lot.
All right, here's my bold prediction. The Los Angeles Rams will win the NFC West. They have the offense to do it. They got a young defense that's hungry. They have one of the smartest coaches in football. And 5 out of their 9 remaining games, 4 against the AFC East and the New Orleans Saints. That's 4 wins. That puts them at 8-4, at least 8-4, and they're going to win a couple of the division matchups. So I have the Rams winning the NFC West.
That was what my prediction was in the beginning of the year. The Rams win the NFC West. Now we'll go take it to the mid-season exams, and we'll take it to each pick a team. We'll grade that team, and I'll kind of just piggyback off that, Jay, because I have the Rams as my team, and I'm giving them a B+ because with everything they gave up to get Matthew Stafford and get that ring, they revamp really well, and he is the smartest coach. If you tell this guy a certain play or a certain time in a certain game in what year, he could tell you exactly what they ran, what happened, who scored it. The guy is intelligent beyond anybody else in the league. He is the smartest coach in the league, and just based on that. But he's intelligent because he knows who to pick, and he's probably the next greatest one to step up. And the Rams better treat that man very well because they better not let him go anywhere or fire him or let him go. And I credit them for having down season. So the Los Angeles Rams, in my opinion, have a B+ grade right now just because of what they've been able to do with a team that's kind of been scrapped together, and they drafted well. They've built through youth and have gotten rid of pieces that have ultimately helped them. So Los Angeles Rams, congratulations, B+. Mike, what do you got?
So I'll take it to the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to give them a D for almost the exact opposite of the Rams in the sense that you had a really good team. First of all, you had Derrick Henry, who, the king of the NFL, whether you want to name him MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, or both. He's a phenomenal player. You had a solid defense led by Jeffrey Simmons. You had DeAndre Hopkins. You had Corey Davis at one point. And you had at one point you had Ryan Tannehill, who was not obviously a big franchise quarterback, but he didn't necessarily lose you games. And then you took 2 swings at replacing him in Malik Willis and Will Levis, and neither of them have worked. And now all of a sudden, everyone's gone. You tried to replace Derrick Henry by still paying a running back and getting Tony Pollard, but a versatile running back like Tony Pollard is great to have, but he cannot save you from the rest of the holes in your Swiss cheese roster. And so you had the bull you literally had the bull by the horns with the Texans. And while the Texans quickly built themselves up with one of, again, the most shrewd and amazing draft day moves I've ever seen from an NFL team, they've now surpassed you by leaps and bounds. So have seemingly the Colts, even if they're inconsistent. And now you appear to be headed to be a bottom feeder in not only your division, but the whole league for the next few years.
Now, what was your grade there,
I
Mike?
think the Derrick Henry situation, even if Derrick Henry was in there, he probably wouldn't be having the success. He would be better than Tony Pollard, but Tony Pollard is not having a bad year. He's sitting on my bench averaging almost 20 points a game right so he's doing pretty well for them. I mean, he's not. I mean, I think letting Derrick Henry go, and we all said this last year, is like let that man go get a ring. Like that was the mentality because they were rebuilding off that team, and they knew that this year was the year for them to go get a quarterback. So I think that take is good. Like, yeah, it's a D because they try to go after. Well,
I'm sorry, Mike. That was a terrible take. Actually, that was a terrible take. You know why? I picked them too. They're a fucking F plus. You're a generous grader. That's a terrible fucking.
I give it a curve.
The only reason I'm giving them an F plus is because Tony Pollard has actually looked better than I thought he would after leaving Dallas. Because basically what you just said there, DeAndre Hopkins, you lose him, you lose AJ Brown for shit. You give up Derrick Henry. I mean, that's fine. You can trade him, but you get more than that. If you're gonna do something, trade him. Don't let him walk in the way you did. Then you have Vrabel. A lot of people looked at as one of the better coaches. You were just in the AFC Championship not long ago. You were a perennial playoff team, and now you are one of the worst teams in the league. You go out here, you draft Will the Mailman Levis, and you become now that is your future. That's your quarterback. That's your guy. That's your king. Will Mailman Levis? No. The Tennessee Titans have zero direction. They don't know where they're going. And unfortunately for Tennessee, I don't know. If I was there, I would not spend my time on Sunday watching football because at this point, hey, if you want to pick us for overtime, go ahead and do that if you're in Nashville because that team has lost complete direction. At least you got the Tennessee Vols to go with for something. John Morant's back.
Well, not only that, Trey. They've given up so many. I was there on a Sunday in Nashville. And I can see one TV on for the Titans when they were playing the Saints. And in fact, they have on Broadway, about less than 100 yards away from the arena or the stadium, is an Eagles watch party bar. So that's how much you can say that they believe in their Titans, is that they've totally allowed other teams to come in and have watch parties. Shout out to the Tin Roof for collaborating with us. But Grandpa Jay, who you got?
Give me the San Diego Chargers. No, the Los Angeles Chargers look like exactly what we thought they were going to look like. They go out and get the rejects that the Baltimore Ravens didn't want anymore to replace with King Henry. And what do we know Harbaugh do? Well, of course he knows what his brother does. His brother freaking brings players in who are tough as freaking nails and make sure that they play the game that way. So he's like, give me both of your running backs. Dobbins has been who we thought he was going to be. Gus Edwards, not so much. But we can expect that this is the style of football they're going to play. And we knew that Herbert was so banged up coming into this season. We worried about whether he could stay on the field. Perfect coach, perfect scenario. I love what they're doing. Their losses are to the Steelers, the Chiefs, who, by the way, they almost shut out in the first half. Had they not had a defensive back slip and Xavier get away for a 55-yard touchdown, they would win that game 10-0 for most of the first half. And a walk-off field goal by the Cardinals, who by all means had a great drive to win that game. Should be 6-2. I give them a B.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I mean, they definitely, especially with what's his face, Justin Herbert going into the season with plantar fasciitis, not knowing how long he's going to be there. For him to tough it out like that, I mean, it's been great to see. And because I always like Justin Herbert, I always think like, okay, if he just stays healthy through this year, right, he'd be good. And it's like every year he's been in the league, he's had an injury come up. And I'm hoping next year will be better because I want to see what a full season health-wise looks like for him. But
and how about a couple guys to throw the ball to? That would be nice.
They got to upgrade that.
That would be convenient for them. Go get themselves Travis Hunter. They can play both ways.
True.
But I mean, shout out to Khaki Man. Go Blue.
The Khaki Man.
He did have an interview on the Herd saying that, I used to kind of say I was the toughest quarterback that would play the game. But he goes, hands down, my guy Justin is that guy now. He loves him. Him and the Herd, him and Colin have like a love affair with Justin, bro. He loves him.
Justin is constantly like limping, and you can see it on the field. And he's he's not even fazed by it. He's just like, this is my normal walk now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, damn, Mike, you give him a D plus.
I give him a D.
You just want them to pass. Here, get it.
D wasn't past where I came from.
I'm going for a higher passing percentage for my class.
Well,
I need to make sure I get tenure.
Well, speaking about grades, the official rankings have come out for college football. The college football playoff rankings have come out. Congratulations, TreyDay and Mike. You both have teams in the top 10. Mike, you you need to go call what's his face? What's it? Friedman? What's his name? Your coach.
Feinbaum? Paul Feinbaum?
No, your coach.
Oh, Marcus Freeman.
Marcus Freeman.
You need to call him and you need to tell him you guys can't lose, because if you lose one more game,
Yep.
you're done. You're done. And that's for being stubborn, old head fashion, and I don't even hate Notre Dame, but I mean it's just stubbornness. But we have the official college football rankings are out, and we have probably the teams we thought were going to be in the top 12 are in the top 12. From Boise State, Bama, Indiana got a lot of love at number 8. Penn State, even though losing a close game to Ohio State, at 6. Then the top 3 are pretty much as I pretty much would have thought, or top 4. TreyDay, I'll throw it over to you. What are your thoughts on the Ohio State Buckeyes being number 2, but also having to play in a playing game in case they lose in the Big Ten championship game? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, those are the rules. I mean, that is what it is, and especially I'm not necessarily against that. I mean, if we keep the pace we're at, if they're playing in a playing game, it's because they lost to Oregon twice. I mean, at that point, hey, we deserve to be in the playoffs, but we deserve not to necessarily be taking a bye week. So I'm fine with that, if that is what it is. I do think we deserve to be number 2, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Some people may say Georgia, but the Georgia win against Alabama, or Georgia-Alabama loss, doesn't look as impressive now that we see what Alabama necessarily is. So I'm fine with the standards. I know, of course, I'm biased in saying number 2 there, but I do think because of the way our offense looks, when they really peak and our defense looks, it's the right move. I guess for me, the thing that really stood out was Bama. We got Bama at 11, LSU at 15. They play each other this week. This pretty much, if the committee's saying what they're saying, this is probably an elimination game. So that's why I looked and I said, oh, okay, I figured it was, but they basically told us with that. Either LSU is going to come up and they're going to jump their way in the top 12, or they're going to fall down like 23 and have no shot. If Bama loses at 11, hey, they're pretty much screwed. So it makes this game all the much important. So now I'm looking forward to that game. It's always a fun game. I'm looking forward to it more than ever now.
Well, the one thing about LSU right now, they have not looked good the last 3 weeks. They've had a clawback in wins. They've had to make sure that they're fighting themselves and making key mistakes, which it makes sense for a Brian Kelly team. And then his kryptonite is Alabama. I mean, luckily they got them at home. Yeah, Mr. Nodding Head.
Yep. Oh yeah. No, it 100% is. I watched it a few times.
49-0 in the national championship game. The last national championship game. But I would have gave some love to Army. As much as we say they're not in the conference, they're not this, but number 25, and they have one of the top scoring offenses and top scoring defenses as well. At number 25, I would have put them at least 16.
16?
I would have put them up there, man. I want to see that.
Maybe 19.
I want that comedian to come back out, whoever it was, I forget his name, but to come back out and have the United States Army come into the college football playoff and have.
Hold on one sec. You ready?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Tell me if this deserves to be 16. Okay, tell me.
You're gonna lift off their schedule, but
no, I'm not gonna lift off their schedule.
Hold on. You can list off Boise State the same way.
No, I'm not gonna list. I'm not gonna list off their schedule. Right. What I'm gonna tell you is, tell me one thing about that team that they deserve to be 16, where the teams that are 16 and up, other than Boise State, as you say, are playing competitive games every weekend.
I mean, that's my point, though. Like, you're saying Boise State, but like SMU plays in a cupcake conference. They're probably the best team next to Miami in the ACC, right? Who did they play? They destroyed Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was supposed to be going into that game the favored, and going into that game supposed to be that team. I mean, you look at SMU. I mean, yeah, we look at Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is way overrated. I think they're overrated just because of their quarterback and their coach. I don't think they're going to make the college football playoff. I don't think their record does not represent who they are as a team. They have looked bad. And again, LSU, I'm going to say the same thing. Texas A&M has shown weaknesses, but because they play in the SEC and they play top teams in the country, I just want to say give a little love to the team at least. Top 5 scoring.
I mean, no, Boise State though did challenge the hell out of Oregon.
Yeah,
and the other thing
the
is,
number 1 team in the country.
Yeah.
And all discretion is you don't have to worry about where Army's going to be ranked because I told y'all a couple weeks ago the Army's going to be Notre Dame. Sorry, Mike. Then they'll make their way to 16.
Yeah.
Now, here's one thing I think we know for sure looking at this top 12. I think one of you, maybe John, you said we might see a 3-loss team in here. No chance because the loser, Bama LSU, is out. We know that. So there's not going to be a 3. And that's also due to Indiana being undefeated right now. We have BYU sitting there at 8-0. So we have a lot of teams, even Miami surprising 9-0. So there's a lot of teams sitting there where they're just not going to drop down. At least Miami won't drop out with a loss we consider bad. I think the worst they'll do is drop them to 10. If they have a bad loss.
The Hurricanes are the most underrated team in the college football right now. They're the most underrated. They're not talked about a lot. Yeah, Cam Ward's got the Heisman hype, but, they're scoring at a very high rate. They're not staying in games in the first half, and they're kind of letting teams they shouldn't. But then in the second half, it's just like Mario Cristobal got that team rolling. I've watched it we've watched it in person. It's just incredible how Cam Ward has developed his game and just basically slowed the game down. You guys are going to jump all over me for this, but yes, he slows the game down kind of like Mahomes does. Mahomes slows the game down and goes through his progression. Cam is doing that right now as a fifth year. Now, granted, he is not Mahomes. I'm not saying he is, but he's doing it in times where he needs to. He slows the game down. He's throwing through his progressions. He's doing the easy stuff to get himself, and then he's going over the top when he needs to. So, Miami is not talked about, and they're number 4 in the country. They're 9-0, but I can't see anybody really beating them at this point.
No, it's not.
I hope
it's
they,
not the
I hope
worst
they
thing.
get beat by Syracuse in the end of the year. That'd be sweet.
No, it's not the worst thing. Because like I told you before the season started, Miami was. I was saying it was one of my dark horses was Miami was partly because of Cam Ward. The reason you don't necessarily not the Mahomes thing is because if we're going to flash back to Texas Tech Mahomes, we didn't look at Mahomes as Mahomes of now. But something I heard interesting the other day was somebody was bringing up the point of when you look at your top prospects at quarterback, a lot of times they don't play with 20 NFL players on their team. So Mahomes at Texas Tech, he has to carry these guys. Lamar, when he was back at Louisville. Same with Josh Allen. You start looking at these top quarterbacks, for the most part, not 100%. And the same thing with Cam Ward. I'm not saying they're stiffs in Miami, but that usually is where you look at your top guys. They were basically having to bust their ass and play at times 1-on-11. The guys who, no shade to AJ McCarron or JT Baird or some of these guys, when you got everybody around you, yeah, you got a little bit easier made. So you do give a guy like a Cam Ward a little more credit before he's going pro when he's in college because of what they're doing with what they're working with on a weekly basis.
I'm going to say this right now, and this is going to be a uniform thing for the college football playoff. When you play at home, they should do a special uniform for each of the teams. Screw all this whole home and away white uniforms. I gotta say, Tennessee had the dopest uniforms this past week. In that
the blacks.
Oh, the midnight. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, those
Hold
sweet.
on now. If they go to the college football playoff, that would be sweet looking.
Please.
Mike, silent Mike down there in the corner.
Yeah.
What you thinking? You just
I'm just taking everything in, all the disrespect for the number 10 team in the nation, for Notre Dame. No, obviously I'm happy that Notre Dame's in. I did not expect them to be much higher, if not any higher than they are, only because they don't play in a conference. There's the loss to Northern Illinois, even though the win over Navy looked good because Navy was ranked. Respect to our troops. Yeah. So I'm excited to see them there. They can't lose. They just can't. I said that before. The last couple of weeks I've said Notre Dame can't take another loss just because of the situation that they've put themselves in as far as not being in a conference, so not having that conference championship game to make. The other thing that really stood out to me that I'm happy to see the love for Indiana and Boise State. I had Boise in my head, so
we're going to Idaho.
We're going to Idaho. I was happy to see the love for Indiana and Boise State. I think both of them have been especially Indiana. They deserve to be up there because they've just been playing. They've been to the point of conferences. They've been playing great football in the Big Ten. Maybe they haven't played all of the Big Ten powerhouses necessarily, but you still get a little bit of, a bump because you're in the Big Ten and they're undefeated. Boise State, they have potentially, he probably won't win the Heisman, but they have potentially the best running back in the country. I mean, statistically, he is the best running back in the country right now. And gotta love the blue field, man. Imagine a playoff game on the blue field. How fun would
In front
that
of
be?
14,000
14,000
right now, they'd be traveling to Texas, but it would be fun.
Yeah,
in
In
front of
front
14,000
of
people at a small ass stadium.
14,000 potato farmers just all
Yep.
sitting there watching their Boise State Broncos.
But here's what sets up nice, right? Like 2 of those matchups should end up being, if they do it as they schedule it correct.
Mhm.
Penn State or Tennessee should have a night game, right? Like you definitely have to give one of them the night game. Texas will have the day game. Maybe Penn State has the afternoon game. You got to give Tennessee the night game, right? And then Indiana hosts BYU if it stays the way it's going to be right now. Of course, we know that's going to flip flop quite a bit because these teams are going to end up playing each other. Here's the thing that really has me really interested in if it were to happen, okay? If all these teams win, but Ole Miss beats Georgia, who do you bump out?
Ole Miss beats Georgia.
And every team wins, right? So Bama wins at 11, Boise State, everybody wins. You got to bump one of them out, right?
If Ole Miss beats Georgia,
Yeah.
I mean, I think you just answered your question. I think Ole Miss.
Well, yeah, I was like, at that point, you go head up, right?
Because Georgia, I think, has not looked like the powerhouse Georgia team we've seen, right? Carson Beck.
So you drop Georgia from 4 to 13?
I think you would have to. I mean, if everyone else won, right? And it's between because if that at that point is it Ole Miss is this weekend?
Yep. It's at Ole Miss.
I mean, I guess that's a tough one, right? I mean, I think you have to drop Georgia out of it. I think that proves that they're not one of the top teams in the country. Carson Beck is not, and they have not looked like it. They haven't looked like it all year. They've always struggled against teams. So Ole Miss beats Georgia. I think Ole Miss gets the nod at 12. Boise State, everyone kind of shifts up one. If everyone wins this week.
And Bama wins, so then Bama jumps to 4. Because Miami move up to 3.
No, Bama doesn't go ahead.
Bama would just
No,
go to
Texas would go up to 4.
Texas would go up to 4.
Sorry, Texas would. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and to
Yeah,
your
they
point,
can't
on
have that far.
they
My
won't-
brain
they
is still
won't-
wrapping sometimes that Texas is an SEC team.
In the
right?
SEC, yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
to
can't
your
go that
point
far.
about
Penn
the
State's
scheduling
the
and
guy.
everything, they
That's
won't
why I was
have-
looking at really confused because if that's the case, then Bama jumps from 11 to 4, right? Because it's basically ranked on who's leading the major 4.
To your point about the whole scheduling and everything, Penn State won't get the night game. It'll be or Tennessee. It'll be Texas. If Texas is in that position, they'll put Texas. Texas will be the higher seed.
Over Tennessee?
It
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It'll be
Bigger
over,
fan
it'll be all about.
No, Tennessee has the bigger stadium.
It
That's
doesn't
a
matter
fan
about
base.
bigger stadium.
I said
It's
fan
best
base.
team. It's about the ranked team.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with the bigger stadium. I mean, it doesn't matter. It matters about the ranking, where you want to play. I mean, at that point, I think you get to choose. And Penn State's going to be up.
So
Well, ultimately,
Tennessee,
TV
Notre Dame,
like
Tennessee,
that.
Notre Dame at nighttime, better game than Texas, Boise State. Come on, guys.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Texas, the money's in Texas.
I hear that.
And this is TV. This is still a TV product. Texas is going to be the money. So
And you're going to want to see, and then they're going to hype it up off of Ashton Genty. Can he run all over this Texas field? Like they're going to hype it up as much as possible, even if it's that scenario. But I mean, I can't see Texas. I mean, I think Texas is. I don't think Texas is going to have a game on that day. I think they're going to win the SEC title. So they're not going to have an opportunity to. I still think they have a shot to win it, and they will. I think. I agree with you. My hot take of the week is that Ole Miss will upset Georgia this week, and we will have a shakeup in the college football playoff. So this week, I mean, the rankings come out. They don't matter right now. The only time they matter is after week 13 in the conference championship. That's the only time it matters. This is just all speculation. This is going to change probably another 4 or 5 times. But, I mean, we got a lot of good teams still on the outside. Can Deion get his team in there? Can he win the Pac-12 and get himself, or the Big 12 and get himself in there? I mean, they still have a shot to win the Big 12. They still have a shot to get themselves in the championship game. Are we going to see prime time in prime time? That's going to be the big question. I mean, we don't know
That'd be
yet.
fun.
So let's keep it rolling, guys. We got a lot to talk about still because we got to go from the college football ranks. Hey, it's our favorite time of the year again. It's college hoops, baby. We're back again with college hoops, and I'm hyped. That is Syracuse's reign for a national championship began last week. So let's go, Orange. Screw the Tar Heels and screw the Wildcats. No
Shut
one
up.
cares about them, but even though they're ranked so much higher than us. But college basketball is here. We have the top 5 teams. We have the reigning national champions coming in at number 3, which is very weird.
Yep.
Even though they had a really good recruiting class. We got Kansas, Bama, UConn, Houston, and Iowa State in the AP Top 25 as the 5 teams to start off this week. So, gentlemen, who in the top 5 there? Kansas, Bama, UConn, Houston, and Iowa State. How many of those teams will end up in the Final Four this year?
2.
1.
We're gonna go 2.
That's what I had. And who are your 2?
I'm gonna go UConn because I just think Hurley has something cooking, and I really want to decide on the second team. I feel like he has something cooking, so I say him. But I figure the thing is the gap between 20 and number 1 is so much closer now with the transfer portal, and with you having guys basically saying, "Okay, I'm out at the year." So you have a lot of these teams where you have these vet guys, and they can come in and maybe beat a team that has high recruits, and we just don't see. I just think we're kind of starting to be done with these years. We're going to have 4 number 1s or 2 2s and 2 1s in the Final Four. I just think we're going to start seeing more and more a 1, a 6, a 3, and a 14. Like I think we're just going to start seeing more and more of that. So I would say 2. I probably would have went with 1, but just because I feel like UConn's pedigree is going to get them there, and I feel like one of the others is just going to figure it out and get hot at the right time.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 2 as well. I think 2 is a good number. I think UConn, you're the team to beat, and he's continuing to recruit, and he's continuing to hit that transfer portal very hard. Everyone loves they all have that mentality where it's championship or bust. They were interviewing a lot of the players before the season, and the players were saying that if we don't win a championship, this season's a loss. And that's the mentality from the coach. And if your players have adopted that, you're winning as a coach before the season even starts. And they're going to come in every game. They just got a new 120-inch or 120-foot freaking screen in their stadium. That's the size of the entire wall. This team is just going to be scary to play, especially if you're in the Big East. If you upset them, as Herb Brooks would say, hang on to the ball. Doesn't happen often. So, you like that? So,
Mikey, I'm a big fan of that.
Mike, who do you got?
1. And it's UConn. Hurley just had, you guys are right. Hurley just has this team in a different mode than any other program in the country. I think you've got programs across the country where there are guys that feel, there are coaches that feel that it's championship or bust for their program. There are players that feel that it's championship or bust for their program. But UConn, being UConn, just seems like it's a program, it's a town, it's a campus, it's a fan base that is just completely and utterly on one page, which is title or nothing. And so I think it's just that culture. We talk about culture all the time and how culture can really change the way your program plays and what your program can do. And I think just the culture that's been established there has led and will continue to lead to the utmost success for that team.
Grandpa Jeff?
Boy, this one's tough for me because I'm big time on the whole idea that I want to see this three-peat, right? Even though I'm a Kentucky fan, I just love this idea that we can see history, right? And I'd hate if Kentucky was actually in the Final Four against UConn and watch them lose that game. But I'm going to go with 2. And the reason I'm going to do 2 is people don't realize that Nate Oates pretty much recruited the number 1 class in the country. Well, he is bringing in the number 1 class. He had the number 3 class, right? So Alabama looks like they're the class of the SEC right now. The SEC seems to be one of the tougher conferences all of a sudden, apart from the Big 12, of course, because we know that Houston's in there now. Even though Houston has changed their style of play, at least early on, it looks like they realize they have to shoot more, and you can see them shooting more threes. And if this team did not make that, if they didn't make that shift in their identity, we see what happens in the tournament. They just can't play the teams that are consistently hitting threes. And we've seen the shift in the game. That's what you have to do. You have to have every player on the court be able to hit threes. So I just kind of see Houston falling short again because they're creating this culture and identity, but it's not going to lock in just yet. Bama, on the other hand, Bama shoots more freaking threes than anybody in the country. So for that reason, I think they're getting more talented. My two teams, because Bama gave UConn the biggest run of any team last year. I think Nate Oates has these guys believing in themselves. So I got Bama and UConn getting back there.
Yes, sir. So, and with that, there's going to be a lot of surprises throughout the entire season. There's going to be Cinderellas. It's Dickie V. Cinderella, baby. He loves them Cinderellas, and hope to hear Dickie V on the sidelines here this year. Who is the best team that is not ranked in the top 25 right now that can win their region in the NCAA tournament?
Win a whole region? Damn, that's deep, man. I thought it was just maybe make a little tiny
make
run.
Make a run to the NCAA tournament, whatever you want it to be. So, who's the Cinderella team? I can go first if you want.
Go through.
And I'm going to say it's going to be the UCF Knights. Yes, they upset Texas A&M, and everyone was so shocked they upset Texas A&M. I was not shocked. This coach, whoever the hell, I forget who the coach is at UCF, but he did something. He went out and got a lot of guys. He went and got Mikey Williams. He went and got Benny Williams from Syracuse. Dior Johnson from Pittsburgh. He went and got a lot of transfers. Went and said, we're going to make a staple here at UCF, and did it. I mean, hats off to him. They upset number 24, I think it was, Texas A&M. I think it was. Hold on. Which one was Texas A&M ranked? 20? You guys know?
Yeah, they were I think 11 maybe, or somewhere around there, 12 maybe.
They upset Texas A&M. I can't remember the ranking. Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry.
13.
So number 13 with Texas A&M. They're a team that has a lot of transfers coming in. They have a lot of hype around that program. Mikey Williams, the number one recruit who dealt with a lot of legal issues, is now back. I don't know if he's playing this year. He didn't play the first game. I don't know if that was due to injury, but they have a lot of great talent. And if he comes and is able to play this year at some point, that explosive. And we saw what he did in prep school. We saw what he could do and what his potential is going to be. And I think the I wouldn't say lowness of UCF is going to help him because he's at a smaller school. He's going to be able to kind of just grow naturally. But, I mean, hey, that team is going to be dangerous. That team is going to be scary to mess with in the Big 12 and potentially could fight with Kansas and Iowa State and Houston in the Big 12.
I like it.
Yeah, so I think that's a good pick. I'm going to go with the Louisville Cardinals. They brought in 9 4-star transfers, including, John, this is the answer to a question we were wondering last week, Kason Pryor from USF, who now is playing in Louisville. I think Pat Kelsey's going to have them kind of in a reset where Louisville hasn't been as successful as they used to be, but I think this is a team that now has hit the transfer portal and is utilizing it well to bring in a bunch of good guys that are going to revamp that whole roster, that whole team, and the way they play. And I think they're going to be a sneaky good team that is going to end up being in the top 25 and then making a run very shortly.
They better hope so, because that KFC Yum Center looks pretty empty every time. It looks like they get tickets for free at that damn place. They had almost 9 transfers last year too, and they shit the bed. So, Grandpa Jay, who's your Cinderella?
Well, they were a Cinderella last year, and I love what I saw from them. I love what Bryce Drew is doing at the program. Give me those Grand Canyon Antelopes because they gave Bama a freaking run in the second round. Bama needed everything to pull away from them. I think they may have won by 9-10, somewhere around there. I can't remember the scoreline. I know it wasn't anything special. And Bama was shitting their pants because they were up with about 5 minutes left, they were up, and then Bama made that last 5-minute push to win. Bryce Drew, we know, is a pretty brilliant basketball mind. I love the energy these guys played with. They believe in themselves now. They're going to run through their conference. Hopefully they give them some sort of respect. They're not going to go in as some freaking 14 seed. Maybe they put them up there, an 11-6 kind of matchup. And so they're not having to play a super high seed in the second round. But I loved what Grand Canyon did last year as a Cinderella. Let's put 2 freaking glass slippers on those feet this year as we walk into the dance, ready to dance a couple rounds. So do your thing, Bryce Drew.
All right, TreyDay, what do we got?
We're going to take this home. We're going to take it to the Ohio State Buckeyes. It's been a while since they've been competitive. But no, in all seriousness, the end of the year strong. Honestly, once Deaver got in, I think now that it's really his team to run as a coach. I think that's going to change a lot. They've actually brought in good transfer. You brought in Michi Johnson from South Carolina. He averaged 14 last year. Michi's actually a Cleveland kid. I remember watching him back in high school actually play, so it was good to watch him actually come back to Ohio and play. You bring in Sean Stewart. He went to Duke. He was a top 20 prospect. It just didn't work out for him at Duke, but the potential was there. Then you bring in Micah Parrish from San Diego State. Once again, big pickup. When you look at those guys, that's a senior, that's a sophomore, that's another senior. So you do got some age there. Then you also bring back Bruce Thornton, who was pretty much the leader of the team last year. He's averaged 16 last year. So you bring that back, you have a lot of veterans. And when it comes down to it, having that type of experience, that's what helps when you start to get deeper in the season, when you start to get to conference play. And then once you start to get to the tournament, having those type of vets. And I do think Deaver's going to be a good coach. He had been in the program forever, and he finally got to take over the reins. And it seemed like the guys responded as they were actually looking better going into the conference tournament last year. And they looked better once they actually got to the NIT. So I think this year, I'm not saying championship or anything like that, but I do think it'd be a big level up. Wouldn't be shocked if they find their way to a Sweet 16 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Cinderellas. I mean, like you said, the transfer portal makes it even more scary for a lot of these smaller school teams to kind of come in and, beat one of the top dogs, one of the top names. So, with that, when you are with a Cinderella team, you have a great coach, right? Well, in honor of a great coach that from USF that got that team to the NCAA tournament for the first time in a very long time, won the American Conference, and Coach Raheem. In honor of that, I want to know, what coach in the college basketball would you play for right now?
Calipari. That's the right answer for me. What's to look for? At the end of the day, I've always been about transparency. I've always been about realness. That's how I want my friends to be. That's how I want my family to be. That's how I want people that I deal with. If you're going to go in there, don't sell me the dream. The thing I've always liked to him all the way back to UMass is I'm going to get you in here. I'm going to get you to the NBA. We'll figure this out, and you do your thing. I'm not going to sell you on, we're going to go get a fake education, knowing that's not necessarily what I showed up for. I'm not going to sell you on, I'm going to make you something you're not. We both are sitting there. We're both doing what we want to. This is a transaction. We thought it was a transaction before. We were sneaking these envelopes into the little lockers, and we were sneaking these meals, and we were acting like your mother got a Hummer in your name. Now we're keeping this transparent. And who better than the most transparent guy we've had in the last couple of decades to come in, look me in the face, tell me, hey, you know what? I think you're going to look nice in that Aston Martin. And you know what else? I'm going to make sure you make it to the NBA and you can afford more Aston Martin. I can appreciate him looking me in the face and being real. And that's why I would say Calipari would be the coach I would play for.
Mr. One and Done. I love it.
It's not.
I'm in and out.
Calipari, I mean, is great. He goes to bat for his guys. He's put hundreds of guys in the NBA. And have all panned out? No, but they've all got drafted or got a signing bonus. And
not one of Duke players.
But it's hard to go against Dan Hurley. He has a mentality that I like, the fired up mentality. As much as I hated it against when he beat Syracuse, he basically was like, and then shook Jim Boeheim's hand. The guy is just all about his players, all about his team, wants the best for the players, wants everything to do with success, and we have similar mentalities where if you don't win a championship, it's a failure of a season. End of story. That's what you play for. You play for rings. You play for wins. You play for a trophy. You don't play just to say, hey, I played 35 games. Now it's time to go home. No, you play to do that. And then ultimately, if you're at that stage every year and you're there a couple of years now that you are in college basketball, the chances of you getting looked at in the NBA is very high because you're playing at a very high stage, and it goes to scouts saying, that guy could be a good 6-man. That guy could be a good 7-man. He doesn't have a lot of starters coming off that, except Clinton, I think, is playing some minutes there in Utah. But, I mean, he's just the mentality that he has and the hunger for winning is just unreal, and I love the mentality.
Mikey, you want to go?
Sure. So, I mean, okay, the obvious answer would be Hubert Davis for North Carolina, but I'm not going to take the obvious answer because it's so obvious.
Why is it obvious?
Why? Because I'm a North Carolina fan.
That don't mean you like the coach.
I've talked before about how much I like the coach.
You do?
Oh, I mean, yeah, because I don't mean you want to play for him. Because I've had some coaches I don't root for, or teams I rooted for. That I was like,
never play for fucking Brady Hoke.
Yeah, I was the same.
I'll never play for them.
I'm Ryan James bags are about packed with me right now.
I'll never play for fucking Chip Kelly. I'm good.
No, but sorry to cut you off. I just was curious because sometimes we don't always love our coach of our team.
No, I do like Hubert, but I'm not gonna take that. I'm gonna actually, I mean, call it, I guess, biased or like personal experience. I would want to play for Ben Fletcher, who's the acting head coach for the USF Bulls. Having met the guy before, and unfortunately with Coach Raheem passing, he's taken over the reins. But the thing is you can tell that Coach Raheem's culture, we talked about culture before, what he brought to the organization, the program, and making it an organizational feel, bringing the team together, is still there with Coach Fletcher, who also coached with him at Kennesaw State. So I would love to be a part of that culture within that program to help him continue to build that program. And he just has impressed me in my experience with him. He's impressed me with how his guys play for him, and the support he gets from the school and things like that. So I think that's a guy I'd really want to play for.
Well, I mean, the sport has been crazy just in a few weeks. I mean, to have to take over a
Right.
program in a way that you weren't expecting in 2 weeks, and to get your guys ready for your first game and keep the mentality, I mean, that shows a lot of his character and him being on the staff, right? He was there already, but still, I mean, you're not expected to take the reins that quick.
And they competed against a team who's going to turn a lot of heads this year. Florida's going to be
They
good
were
this year.
leading at half.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I mean, they gave up 59 points to Florida at half, which is you can't do to a team like that. But I mean, hats off to Fletch.
Did you know that one by the name of Mr. Gary McNamara is coaching the Siena Saints, John?
I know Jerry
I
McNamara is
don't know who
coaching.
Gary is, but it's Jerry McNamara.
His name's
His
Gary.
evil twin.
You don't name your kid G and expect people to say J. It's Gary, okay? It's not Jerry. So it's Gary.
Gerry, and don't ever
J is J. G.
to ever play
Then
golf.
call him Jerry then, because it ain't Jerry.
It's
All right.
Well, say
I
it
love
right.
Calipari. Love that one. Okay. I had a feeling one of you might end up stealing that. That's why I said let me go last. So, but even if I was going to choose this guy, because I love what he represents, he really talks about family a lot. And I think he's done wonders at the programs he's been at, and that's Jim Larinaga. He is a standout guy. I've dealt and personally worked with and being coached by these Brooklyn guys. These guys that grow up in Brooklyn, these old school guys, they have this like toughness about them, and they have this eccentricism about them that comes with this curiosity to just be so different and do it different, that they bring something to the environment that makes you like obviously scratch your head, but you're like, fuck it, you know what? If this works, it works. Let's roll with it. And they kind of get you excited about choosing a path that's not really the path that's most walked. So they kind of convince you like, hey, we could do it our way, and our way is going to work, but we're going to be a family, and we're going to move as a family, and we're going to be successful at some point. If you believe in that and you want to help build this culture, then come be a part of it. And I love his post-game interviews too. He's a standout guy, and I would love to be able to be on his staff, or even at some point in my athletic career, being under him as a learning from him as an athlete and student, because he was a professor at George Mason.
The Walmart brand Jim Boeheim.
Right.
No, I mean
So
that's what he
similar.
was called. That's what he was called in the ACC. Like, no one could tell them apart. He said the Walmart brand Jim Boeheim.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Syracuse, that's
if
what
they weren't wearing
I'm not saying
like
fuck
Syracuse
you,
and
I'm
Miami
just being
stuff.
honest. In Syracuse, that's what we would call Jim Larinaga, the Walmart brand, or like the Great Value brand, Jim Boeheim. I'm sure Jim Boeheim was probably called the same thing in Miami. So,
I doubt that very much with his pedigree. No chance.
Who?
Boeheim.
It's calling him the Walmart Larinaga.
Sure, Miami, they probably have said it like, "Oh, that's the Great Value version." You know how kids talk. But yes, coaching college basketball is off to the races, and so is our season 3 of Stump the Squad. So let's get it going, guys. It is time for Stump the Squad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Girls and boys, ghouls and goblins all alike. If you have pounded and floundered your way over to the week after Halloween, welcome to another Stump the Squad, our favorite time of the show here, where you get to play with us. And remember, like, subscribe, and comment. Play along with us. Let us know if you guys were able to beat the squad. If you get it right, give yourself +2. If you get it wrong, give yourself a -2. Don't cheat. Don't use your laptop. Don't look at your phone and ask your friends. Just use your sports knowledge and challenge us here today. And I am going to start with my guy on the top with Ja Rule on his hat. Take it away, Mr. John.
I don't even know who you said. Is this like who was the first guy you said?
Rakim.
I don't fucking know who.
You know who Rakim is, right?
Got the rapper, Rakim?
Yeah.
Hey, he thought this was Rakim. I was like,
No, at first, I got
know who
Rakim
that
on
is,
your
but
hat.
I'm like,
He's like, I know who that is.
know who
I'm like,
that
sorry, that was too Grandpa J. I was like, fine, I got Ja Rule on your hat. Actually,
yeah.
does look
That's
like
a
Ja
more
Rule.
representation. It looks more like Ja Rule.
With the hat, backwards hat, yes.
Baseballism.
Yeah.
Rakim used to wear
all right.
backwards.
All right. So, how many receptions did CeeDee Lamb have last year?
Oh, Jesus.
132, 135,
Next question. Fuck the Cowboys.
141, or 150?
132.
141.
Give me the other two options.
132, 135, 141. Actually, I shouldn't repeat because you interrupted me. So, figure it out.
135.
God damn it. Today I've successfully stumped Mike and Trey. It's 135. So I'm going to get him wrong for interrupting me.
I knew the answer. That's why I was trying to help you guys. I randomly looked it up a couple of days ago to see how much of a downgrade he would have.
I know it was 130 something. I couldn't remember the exact because I remember looking before fantasy football season started. Hey, stats.
All right. Loudmouth Jay, let's go.
Oh, back to loud.
That's a lot. That's a classic right there.
Back to loudmouth. Let's do this.
Loudmouth Jay.
All
So
right.
At work.
Hold on 1 second. Let me pull up my question for you. All right, gentlemen. So the Ravens currently lead the NFL in points scored with 283 points. But can you tell me which team currently ranks second in points scored? Is it A, the Bucks, B, the Commanders, C, the Lions, or D, the Bills?
Commanders.
Lions.
Bills.
We have three different answers, which means maybe I stumped the squad, maybe I didn't. Gentlemen, I successfully stumped John and Trey. The answer is the Washington Commanders. And if there's a tie break, is it a tie break? Let me ask it, because that's going to be the tie break.
Yeah, they got to play us. So
If you're
I figured.
in the tie break, you can't ask it.
No, I am in a I either win or I don't win, bro. No tie break this week. Let's go.
You gonna pick someone?
Yeah, Mikey. Since you got it right, we'll just follow the trend.
That's what you usually do.
Yeah.
Why I was prepared to look at mine. So we found ourselves in a situation where both the Indiana football and basketball teams are ranked at the moment. So tell me, when was the last year that both Indiana football and basketball were ranked at the same time? Is it A, 1993, B, 1994, C, 2019, or D, 2020?
94.
2020.
I'm sorry, I heard 2020 from Trey. I believe it overlapped Jamie. What?
2019.
2019. Okay. 3 answers yet again. So perhaps I have stumped the squad. This week, I have successfully stumped the squad.
Bomb.
1993.
Fucking knew it too. I said it as soon as you said the answer. God damn it, John. Go with your gut. Bastard. All right, TreyDay.
Scores update. Scores update.
Mike was 0. Jamie was 0. Me with -4, and Trey out with -6.
Who's
so
Jamie?
I need to get it right, and you guys need to get it wrong. So
who's Jamie? So who's Jamie?
Oh yeah, Grandpa Jay. Loudmouth Jay.
Disrespect.
Piece of shit. What nickname do you want tonight?
Anything but the name.
Okay, so we're taking this to the hardwood. Which of these teams has had the most Rookie of the Year winners? The Clippers, Celtics, Warriors, Lakers.
Clippers, Celtics, Lakers, Warriors.
Clippers.
People going Mike with Clippers.
Go on my gut.
And that would make sense because they had so many high lottery picks. But a lot of them didn't pan out either.
I give you plenty of time to think about life.
Damn it.
Just gave us the answers and then the question. While you were trying to find it.
Or make your question, what is the question I meant to ask you?
No, actually was the question. I just couldn't remember exactly how I phrased it originally. I had to go back and look. I was like, wait a minute, some other question got deleted. Well, I looked at the answer. I knew what it was.
The correct answer is the Boston Celtics.
Man, you're taking my answer, you bastard. Fuck you. I shouldn't have asked. Can I change my answer?
Oh, I didn't hear your answer to begin with. To be honest, I only heard.
Okay. I'm going to go Lakers.
Okay, so John's going Lakers. Jamie's going
Celtics.
Celtics. And Mike was going Clippers. Okay. So today, I have successfully stumped the squad.
Oh.
It is the Warriors.
Oh.
Damn.
All right. So, I have the tiebreaker if you don't, Trey.
I do have the tiebreaker.
All right, go ahead.
How many?
No, actually, what I was going to actually say, that was one version of this. How many NBA teams have never had a Rookie of the Year?
Can I guess for fun?
Yeah, you can guess for fun.
How many teams have never had a Rookie of the Year?
How many NBA teams have never had a Rookie of the Year winner?
4. And guys,
John's going
you
4.
can answer if you want. Because I'm not in it.
You know what? 7.
Well, Price is right. Both of y'all asses. 5.
Okay, so John has 4. He doesn't take me count. Jamie has 5. Mike has 7.
Mm-hmm.
Our correct answer today,
Don't say it's 6.
2. Today's winner is Jamie.
John!
Technically, John was right. Grandpa Jay is today's Stump the Squad winner. The 2 teams that never have an NBA Rookie of the Year were the
One.
Heat
I knew it was the Heat.
and
Is
the
the
Nuggets.
And the Nuggets. Oh.
The Heat and the Nuggets have never had an NBA Rookie of the Year.
The problem with the Nuggets is like Melo. If Melo was drafted any other year, he probably would have got it that year. But he
Yeah,
was drafted LeBron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
He goes the wrong year with LeBron, and the Heat are never that low to ever have.
I thought it was the Heat and the Jazz, but I guess Stockton won it, maybe?
Or Malone.
No, I don't think
Right.
Malone won it in his year.
I can't remember which one of those
Pete?
two, but it
What
was.
about Pete? Might have been Pete Maravich.
Maybe
I
Pete.
can't remember who won on the Jazz, but yeah, they definitely did have 1 or 2 at least.
All right, Grandpa Jay. Grandpa Jay is this week's winner. That brings him with a ties with Mike at 4 wins. TreyDay at 2, and I was wrong. I'm at uno wins.
The Utah Jazz had 1. Dow Griffith, 1981.
Oh,
Okay,
Jesus.
so
So 1 win for me, and then Grandpa Jay is Mr. Interrupting. Grandpa Jay is at 4 wins with Mike. So TreyDay, we gotta fucking fight back or something. See, Grandpa Jay.
Tampa Power, baby.
Throws me off.
long way to go.
I'm calling
It's never too
technicality loss. I'm gonna go to the review.
Y'all can't let me start going on a run. Mikey and I are going to just run ahead of y'all.
Never too late.
So, yes, we got college basketball, college football. All the sports are rolling right now. Make sure if you are a sports fanatic, you can have a game every single night of the week, whatever you want to watch. So make sure you guys are tuning in. Tune into the socials at Cinco Squad Pod 05. We'll be back here next week for episode 137. We also have an interview lined up here next week, so make sure you tune into the socials as we will deploy that interview here next week. So we'll see you guys here next week. Cinco Squad out.